Okay, it's recording.
Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Pai's Astrology channel. This is Nav, and today I'm here with Dr. Kanholi Sandeep Krishna and Dr. Aditya Todi, and today's topic is opposite nakshatra activation technique.
Hey, hello now, how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Doing good, thanks. Hey, hi
Thank you.
Sandeep, how are you?
Good, Aditya. Hopefully, I'm kind of curious to see what you have to share on the opposite nakshatra kind of technique. I know it's a technique we discussed before briefly, but it will be interesting to see what new insights share.
Okay, I'll just tell you what happened a few days back and why it started and how it started. So I was talking to Kapil, the KRS channel guy, and he was having a chart where he gave me a chart saying that, okay, these are the details, see the chart and predict me about his career. And we were trying to look, and I was telling him, okay, it was chart of this, because I think some of the many planets were in Ardra Nakshatra. So, technical, computer related, web related. There were a lot of planets in 8th house or aspecting 8th house. I don't remember now the chart, but something like that. So it may be in occult, it may be in research, something like that. That was a prediction one will give. I think his 10th lord was in the 8th house, and so on and so forth. But the thing was, it was a chart of a famous celebrity, not a celebrity, but a sports person. He was a swimmer. And we failed. And he also said that I also failed in predicting this. And then it led to think why we failed, and is there any way, just by looking a chart at one chance, can you say that, okay, this is just by looking at the chart, can you say that this person is doing this job or is having so and so qualities? Just by looking at the chart, is there some way to do that? I know we have to look so many, the aspects of planets, the aspect a year, aspect there, which planet, what lord, what house it is going on, but whether there's a simple way or not. And then we were discussing, and then a point came where once you take the opposite nakshatras, of course there are 9 planets and ascendant, so there are 10 points, 9 planets and ascendant. If you take the opposite nakshatra of that particular point where these 10 planets or ascendant is of the chart, and that gives you a little bit better result or not, that was the point. So we took some random charts, and instead of seeing the planets and the ascendant, we focused more on the opposite nakshatra of that, or opposite point of that particular 10 points. And that made a lot of sense. And then we just took random charts, some 10, 20 random charts, whatever came in my mind, or came in our mind, just randomly on the phone. And that made sense. And then I came to a conclusion that maybe this opposite nakshatra is more working. I don't know, this is very, what you say, non-intuitive to think, and very far away from the traditional way of doing, because we always see the 9 planets and the ascendant point, and we start predicting. But then should we also see opposite? And I know there will be people which will be saying, okay, we have 10 points, 1 ascendant and 9 planets, and now you are taking opposite, which means now there is like 10 plus 10, 20 points. So there will be some or the other aspects always seen, and some or the other things which will be seen, which you can say all nakshatras are active. You say 20 points are activating out of 27 nakshatras. Then I know those questions will be there. But still, but there were some other points too which came in my mind, and I will discuss that today. It's just my observation. I won't say it's the way to do. It's just my observation, and I thought I would like to share those and see what other people think. People can do their own research. Of course, we are all researchers. We like to do research. Doesn't matter. We fail. We failed many times. so.
Yeah. No, Aditya, I think I'll just add in that quickly. It's kind of important to be open ideas and to understand the potential of ideas too. It's kind of important to be discussing all kind of possibilities as far as every technique is concerned.
Correct.
So I think it's good. So it's good that we are looking at opposite nakshatras as well. We of course the astrological chart is a complex thing. 12 houses, 9 planets, 27 nakshatra. That itself
Yeah.
is like you're looking at a whole.
The entire world you are
the more
basically
you
describing in 12 signs and
exactly that.
9 planets
Yeah,
and 1
exactly
ascendant.
that.
The complexity is there.
So the more clear the picture can be, even through like techniques like opposite nakshatra, the much more clarity we get. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be great.
So I made a PowerPoint, just few slides. I will share those. I guess the slideshow is visible. Play from start. Okay. I think my slides are visible.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Is everything fine at the end? Maybe what I will do is I'll minimize this. Okay. I think so. This is the first chart. As you see this Albert Einstein here, and the first thing when you see Albert Einstein, what comes in our mind? What do you think when you hear Albert Einstein? I know
he's a scientist, relativity, quantum, physics and all that.
Tell me
gravity and all
what sign will be the most active? Like you have 12. First of all, forget about nakshatras. Just say 12 zodiacal signs. So if you say he's a scientist, which sign comes in mind?
You say Jupiter ruled sign or Mercury sign, either of those. Yeah.
Jupiter ruled sign,
or Pisces
or
or
Mercury ruled signs. Jupiter or Mercury.
Right.
3, 6, 9, 12. Gemini,
Right.
Virgo, or maybe Sagittarius and Pisces. Out of that, which is more logical and analytical and reasoning and all those, I feel Virgo is basically, when I see that, Virgo sign is much more, because that's where the Mercury excels. Mathematics, logical reasoning, analytics, and all those. Make sense?
Right.
But what you see in his chart here, you can see a bunch of, when you see this chart, the first thing your eyes, it goes into the sign of Pisces, where he has got bunch of planets, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, Sun. And definitely the opposite sign will be Virgo. Okay.
Right.
Now we will see degrees and other things. And of course, his ascendant sign is 19 degree 29 minutes, Gemini. Opposite will be 19 degrees 29 minutes of Sagittarius, which comes under Purvashara, which is in Sagittarius sign. Again, as you said, Jupiter ruled signs. So definitely is Jupiter ruled sign. Now 3 opposite is 9. Gemini opposite is Sagittarius. Pisces opposite is Virgo. And so the first thing which I do is first I see there are lot many planets collected, or that lot many planets coming together, and that sign becomes really very important. Doesn't matter you do opposite technique or not technique or no other technique, but whenever there's like 3-4 planets, you pay more attention to that. Similarly here, the first thing which I do in this technique is like I just see, okay, fine, opposite nakshatra, but what planets are concentrating at what point? Here it's Pisces, so definitely Virgo will be there much more. And then we go nakshatras and all. Of course, nakshatras is 27 nakshatras. Signs are like 12, so of course nakshatras is much more complicated than compared to signs. We know that. But then, but now think about Albert Einstein's thought and basically what he did. Purvashara, strategies and all those things can easily be seen through all those. And the point, I think, let's focus on the points of Saturn, Venus, Mercury, and Sun. Now, if you see Saturn, Sun is at Sun is at Isis 1 degree. So the opposite point will be 1 degree Virgo. So Uttara Falguni. So the qualities of Uttara Falguni. Then Venus is exactly 24 degree 50 minutes. Opposite will be Chitra Nakshatra. Chitra, comes under what the deity is Vishwakarma, again making, technical and all those mind. And then Saturn, which is 12 Pisces, 12 degree 2 minutes, and the opposite will be Hasta. And then Mercury, which is 10 degree 60 minutes. Opposite is again very close to the border of Uttara Falguni and Hasta again, Nakshatra. So of course, then the thing comes, okay, so this was one of the things. So I'm just showing some few charts here. I analyzed some 20 charts which came in my mind. I will say pros and cons, like where did I fail and where did it work. Of course, there's some charts here I'm showing is exactly where it worked, but I will also talk about what happens in some charts where it was like more it made it sense just by looking at D1 and not by opposite. So I will tell you about that too. So this was one chart. Uh, we can go on and talk about it, but I will show you. I think here I've given the opposite nakshatras of Einstein, and you can easily see it is Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, 4 planets in Virgo. Virgo sign is very powerful, and I was also curiously looking that Jupiter is at Leo 5 degree, which is very close to the Yoga Tara of Magha, the opposite point of Jupiter. Magha, the royalness and all can be easily seen. But in what field he was royal? In the field of intellectual, in the field of learning, in the field of, so mostly Jupiter again, very close to the Magha point. Magha Yogatara point. The opposite nakshatra of Jupiter is close to the Magha Yogatara point. So I was thinking whether we should take also if there's any in the opposite point, if there's an Yogatara, it will become much more, much more powerful.
Right.
So that was one thing. The other thing is, again, going to another chart, Amitabh Bachchan here, famous actor, of course. And then Rahu is there. Its ascendant point is 1 degree 37 minutes of Aquarius. What is the opposite point? Opposite point will be Magha, again the ruler. And the opposite nakshatra for Rahu and Ketu we know, because every time opposite point of Rahu will fall in Ketu, correct? And opposite point of Ketu will be in Rahu. So Rahu, Ketu are like a complete pair actually, what they form. Here, if you just see his Lagna is 1 degree 37 minutes. Opposite will be in Magha. He was the king of course, he is a king in his career and in his field. And then the other thing which I see is strong Sun, Venus, Mars, Mercury in the sign of Virgo. And that tells me that the opposite nakshatra, opposite sign will be strongly activated, will be Pisces. Now I was just thinking, Venus for Virgo is a sign of, as I mentioned, logical, analytical, reasoning, and all those. Do you associate Amitabh Bachchan with those qualities of that or not? Because he's like more of actor. So mostly
Right.
it is like he's, because since all these planets are sitting in Virgo, his Pisces becomes much more strong. And of course, we know that movie, entertainment, and all is connected to the 5th house, but also 12th house is also connected to entertainment industry and movie and all. So, and this is natural 12th house. Pisces is natural 12th house, on a sign occupying the natural 12th house. And then one also has to see the Atma Karaka and all. Atma Karaka, as you say in Gemini technique, is very much related to career. And the opposite point, but I won't talk there because I am adding one more layer to it, which becomes more complicated. But just with this, with very few examples, keep it minimum. Just want to introduce this concept. And now in this chart, this is again opposite nakshatras for Amitabh Bachchan, so and so forth. Let me not go into much detail. Now, if you see this chart, I've purposely hidden the name of this person, but just see this chart and what can you say about just general characteristics of this person. The first thing is, you will say me so many planets in his
In Cancer. Yeah.
Venus, Saturn, and ascendant Mercury.
Yeah.
What is opposite to that?
Right. In Cancer. Yeah. Whereas Capricorn will be the sign opposite to it.
Capricorn. Now, if you say Capricorn is a sign of what? Of course, one has to know about its meaning and all those things. I assume that people know those. People know the nakshatras, qualities, and all those things. So when you see that so many planets in Cancer, opposite side is Capricorn. Capricorn, what comes to in your mind? Capricorn is a sign of planet Saturn. And what?
Yeah. So a lot of work, probably achievements, career focus on business mind.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And what are the now think about nakshatras that comes in this sign.
You have Uttarashada, which is battle kind of thing,
Correct.
writer, Shravana, which is travel, and Dhanishta is also wealth. So a lot of achievements.
Dhanishta is there is something
So
special in Dhanishta. If I ask you, there's some point in
yeah,
Dhanishta,
Mars.
Mars, and then
Mars is actually getting exalted. Yeah,
Mars is
in
getting
Uttarashada, Jupiter is getting debilitated.
correct.
Yeah,
And Uttarashada is nothing but,
Jupiter is getting
as you said.
yeah.
So now what story? No, in Hindi they say khichdi. What khichdi or what
Yeah,
you can make now out of this? He will be
maybe Mars,
Martian type, correct?
something,
Yes.
right?
So this person,
Yeah,
if I have not given the name here, can you guess who is this person?
no idea.
Any idea?
Must
Any
be
thought?
some athlete.
Now,
No.
Some
Go
ath-
on.
war. This was basically George Bush.
Oh, okay,
You see, war,
right,
other things which was easy in mind to think. Uh,
right.
that you can clearly say. So I was just thinking, just by snapshot. Can you say? So this is like I won't take 10-20 charts, but why we are talking about, and then suddenly a point came in my mind that we always say in today's world, debilitated planets give not good results, it always give bad results. That's what traditionally is, but definitely what I have seen, and even in my life I have seen, the planet which was debilitated in my chart has given me best dasha so far. That is very counterintuitive to think, like why a debilitated planet will give a good period, and why an exalted planet will be giving me a tough time. Now I know bad, tough, good, all these are all just made up words. Who knows? The planet is basically trying to improve you. But we always hear that in many cases that, oh my, this planet was debilitated and it was the best dasha so far. And it is true, at least in my case and in many other cases whom I have talked. And so what is that? What is that happening? What is the point opposite to a debilitation point? Is the
Right,
planet,
that'll be the exaltation point.
is the planet's exaltation point? Is that the reason why the
Right.
planet gives good results there? I don't know. I'm just thinking loud, Yeah, because
Right.
we always think that about this. I was just considering this act of debilitation and exaltation. Why you always see that debilitated planets will give you? Of course, we have different theories. We say debilitated planets means okay. This people have different explanation of why it gives good results. Then they go to divisional charts: D9, D10, D12, D6. Of course, you can go thousands of divisional charts, but I want to keep it simple. Uh, I'm a physicist. I think I'm a physicist. I don't know. These days, I don't know what I am sometimes. But I've always seen that if you can make things simpler, I think we are going in the right direction. If you make it complex, then there is something wrong. And I always tell to my students, like, if you're making a problem complicated, then stop it, hold it. You're not doing the problem in a right way. That's what I tell in my class when I teach them. Same applicable to me. When I do it, I make it complex: D9, D12, D10, D60. Of course, divisional charts has its own importance. I don't deny it. But is it just by looking? Because again, there's timing. Small difference in time will disturb your D60 chart and D12 chart, and lagna can be different. We have to be very careful with that. And of course, we are only saying about time, but what happens latitude and longitude? We don't worry. The place also matters. Whatever time when you say, the local time is different, even though you're in the times. Of course, I won't go into details of all those. So you have to consider all those. So it's very sensitive about lagna and all when you go to higher divisional charts. So just by looking D1, can you have something to do? That was my entire focus of looking into it and then thinking why the planet acts in certain way. Then the next question was, okay, I see that opposite nakshatras or opposite point works. Then the question is why it works. First of all, so far so good till now. Does it make sense? Or if
Yes,
you have any
definitely.
questions?
Yes.
I see Dr. Pai is here now.
Yeah, no. I think this is some great points that Aditya you're discussing related to exaltation as well.
Correct.
But I have something more to add here for the benefit of the viewers. I've also come across a few additional points related to exaltation and debilitation. We don't need to talk about debilitation because exaltation is what we need to really look at, because right opposite is what the debilitation, the fall is.
Correct.
Now, there was some Western text that I was also referring to where they say about 18 degrees and 58 minutes is where the sun gets exalted. The Vedic is, we think it's 10 degrees, but the Western is, they say, 19, around 19 degrees where the sun gets exalted. And another place where I feel a difference, which Aditya, I think it's based on your research as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter doesn't get exalted at 5 degrees, they say at 15 degrees.
Okay, Pushya's
This
yoga.
was the only two variations I've seen with the Western texts in relation to some of our Vedic concept, Bharat Prashara, Hora Shastra. Where's the difference? All other things are the same, which is Moon as 3 degrees of Taurus. You have Venus at 27 degrees of Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Mars at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So all others are matching perfectly, but with these two is a variation. Do you see anything in your own
I,
experience?
I see that why you say Jupiter exalted at 15 degree, because that's where the Pushya's Yogatara is. So I see
Correct. I think we have discussed this in the past, and I know that. But
Correct.
why 19 degrees of
Aries.
Aries? That's what I'm wondering,
Yeah, that's very interesting because that's the debilitation point of Sun, debilitation point of Saturn actually. Right? 20 degrees is very close to the debilitation point of Saturn.
That's exactly what they are saying. Because Saturn, they don't take it as 20 degrees, they take 21 degrees. 21 degrees of Libra is where it gets exalted. So right opposite is the Sun with an variation of about 3-degree orb. And many of the explanations that I've seen with exaltations, with the Western astrologers saying that why 15 degrees is because with 15 degrees from the exaltation of Jupiter is when Leo will start. So they say from the sun's Rashi or from sun, the planet has to be 15 degrees away to be in a good position. So Mercury is at 15 degrees of Virgo. That's, after we covered Leo, so you come into 15 degrees, that's what they say. So they don't want to have a planet very close to the sun. So when from a sun, any planet goes 15 degrees away, that's when it sees much more positive. So that's why they say 19 degrees is roughly, from 19 degrees, it's like 14 degrees you find moon gets exalted at 3 degrees. Anyway, I think that's not the point today of the discussion that we are having. It's about the opposite nakshatras. But why I want to bring this concept is, let's not forget that anything, whatever was rising in the eastern horizon when your birth was happening, that's where your lagna is. So obviously the nakshatra right opposite is where it was setting.
Exactly.
So we definitely need to see what nakshatra was setting when something was rising. And that's the whole concept of exaltation and debilitation, I feel.
You put a new point. It's a good point, which exactly I have that slide, next slide. That whenever you say that the sun is, say, for example, in this chart, the sun is in the background of Leo. For example, mid-July to mid-August, it is in the background of Leo, correct? So whoever born in the month of July mid to mid-August will have sun in Leo. That's fine. But then this opposite nakshatra will say that you have to take the opposite point. Now let's say this was around Leo 10 degrees, for example. Now Leo 10 degrees will be approximately on August 27th.
Right.
Correct.
So just to correct you briefly, Aditya. So mid-July to mid-August will be Sun in Cancer. Mid-August to mid-September will be Sun in Sun in Leo. Okay,
this chart is basically made tropical signs. Actually, that's what I realized. But then what the point which thank you, Sandeep. That's a good point. This is all made from the side and side. But mid-August to mid-September, the sun will be in Leo. But then I am saying that you
Right.
put the opposite point. Now, what does it mean? That means if you are on the sun and if you are viewing Earth, then the Earth will be in the background of Aquarius. So when you are doing this
Right.
opposite nakshatra technique, you are moving your frame of reference. Of course, I'm using physics terms now. Frame of reference
Right.
from
Right.
the planet Earth to that particular planet and viewing Earth from that point. Correct.
Exactly that. Yes.
Now when we say that now the Saturn is in say Sagittarius, or say Jupiter is in Scorpio right now, correct? We know that. But if you are on Jupiter and then you are seeing the Earth from there, from Jupiter, you will see the Earth in the background of Taurus,
Opposite sign.
opposite sign,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
Taurus. It will be in the background of Gemini, sorry. Correct?
Yeah.
Because Jupiter is in Sagittarius right now. So from Jupiter, you will see Earth in the background of Gemini. Makes sense, opposite. So is that something, because when I say this opposite nakshatra technique work, should we go to the frame of reference of that planet and then see Earth? And then is that something technique? Which I don't know. I'm just making it, as I said, this is a pure research. I don't know what is true, what is right, what is wrong. But it works, and I'm just giving an analogy for what it is. Because if it is opposite,
No, it's,
if and only if opposite nakshatras are working perfectly, that means it shows that you're seeing the Earth from that particular planet, exactly opposite to that.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Aditya, it's very interesting. So I'll just add on to this slide here. You can see if sun is, as you mentioned, Earth will, if you look at it, look at the Earth will be exactly opposite to Leo, which is, Capricorn here. Well, no, Aquarius here.
Yeah.
So you'll see that. So that kind of opposite kind of thing is what is actually happening in the sky. And of course, we have to remember that the opposite nakshatra is a very important principle because all planets are giving this exact 7th house aspect upon the 7th house from itself. So that the of that planet, 7 houses away from that, exactly that planet is giving this aspect. So when you're actually considering the sun, the analogy which you used here is when sun is being looked towards the Earth, you're actually looking at the 7th house aspect of that particular planet also. So it's the same thing, So astrologically, we have been considering this kind of thing by using a 7th house principle aspect. So all planets are giving 7th house aspect. There is no
All planets are giving, yes.
not giving at all.
Correct.
So exactly that, Yeah.
So somehow the
You
aspect
can
is
see that
more powerful.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. No, it makes sense now. Now that you show that it's actually what is happening, that planet is actually looking at the Earth. Makes sense that the opposite nakshatra should be working.
Correct.
So that's an interesting thing. Yeah.
So I don't know. It was very short presentation, I know, but I think that was my simple presentation, short topic. I thought Dr. Pai always says that we give always long topics, simple points. I kept it simple, Dr. Pai. After many years of, I think, effort now, just. But then I thought maybe
that's something that we learn after aging. Initially, we always want to do big presentations, but now it's all about simple things, and we want to communicate something more powerfully. And I think we have discussed this, if you remember, Sandeep and Aditya,
Yes. Yeah.
maybe in 2015 when we were discussing the nakshatras. That's when we came up with the.
Right.
Was it the 15th or the 16th nakshatra from any nakshatra is very, very important. We said, the 7th nakshatra, the 7th house nakshatra becomes very prominent. And it makes sense. Let me tell you also what it means, right? Now, from a Nadi perspective, any house that you're looking at, the first house is your ascendant, let's say, okay? You have your lagna. Now, there's a difference between, I've also said this on many occasions, that there's a difference between ascendant and lagna. Do you know what's the difference that I've always mentioned this, Sandeep, Aditya, and Nav?
So,
I remember you said that.
Okay, the concept is the same, but there's a very slight variation. Now, ascendant is a Western concept where we say when you're born, what nakshatra or what star was rising on the eastern horizon at the point of your birth. Okay, that is ascending. Some star was ascending. Now, it could also make a huge difference that if you're born in the same latitude and longitude, maybe the altitude might also make a difference, because you go higher, maybe you're seeing a different star, and maybe if you're at base of the altitude, maybe a different star might be rising. So whatever was rising at the horizon when you're born, that's called ascendant. Lagna, this is what Professor A.V. Sundaram told me. Lagan means union. So a union is happening at that point with your body, mind, and soul. So that's when all of these three components are coming together. There is a marriage which is happening. That's why we say, "Aapka lagan ho gaya kya?" Which means in Hindi we say, "Have you got married?" Lagan means marriage. There is a marriage that is happening. So it's just not what is rising on the eastern. So whenever we see ascendant, we say that's ourself. And in the concept of Nadi, the seventh house is what completes you. That's why in India we call our better half, our spouse, as our Ardhangani. Ardha Angani, which means she's our better half. Ardha Nareshwar, where Shiva is seen with Parvati, half and half. So what completes you? So if you're Lagana, then seventh house completes you. And this is my study, I've taught this, that there is no lock in this universe or this world without a key. And there cannot be a key without a lock. So if
the importance of first house and seventh house, basically.
Absolutely. This is the importance of first house and seventh house that I'm reiterating.
And see, in that way, I was thinking about Rahu and Ketu, because we know every time Rahu, Ketu are opposite. So somehow they're like, they're very powerful, because they are holding the opposite ends, which no other planet does.
Exactly.
That's why they become very important.
And they are like one planet. In fact, if you really think about it, they're like one planet with split across the horizon, and they're showing complementary things. They're complementing each other, Rahu and Ketu. Similarly, your ascendant is complementing with the seventh house. So let me again give you an example, because I know a lot of people will be confused. Let's take the sixth house. Sixth house stands for ailments or diseases. 12th house, which is seventh from sixth house, is the cure, the medicine. Sixth house is also accidents that you see from. 12th house is your emergency that you get admitted in the hospital. Sixth house is service. If you do a lot of service, then you need some time off from your service, right? So 12th house is retreat. Sixth house is hard work that you put in. 12th house is rest.
Sleep.
Sixth house is your brain completely worked up, because you have the Shadripus. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Pride, ego, lust, greed, anger. These are your enemies. So what cures you is meditation, 12th house. 12th house is meditation. 12th house is your subconscious mind. So I'm saying, if one is the lock, the other is the key. If one is the key, the other is the lock. So never forget this dicta when you are doing even the study with Nakshatras. So Bharani is the womb where you take birth. And the first breath when the umbilical cord is cut is Swati Nakshatra, right opposite. is the first breath when you become independent from your mother. Till then, you are dependent on your mother. After that, you are taking your first breath, which means you're on your own. Till then, you are dependent on your mother too, for sustenance, and for food, for breath, everything. So Bharani is when the water is going to flow from the womb, and the umbilical cord is cut, that's when the opposite nakshatra is operating. So you see a lot of these, complementary things. So that's why I think, Aditya, I know you have said this with a couple of examples, but we cannot exaggerate that the seventh nakshatra. So example again, sixth house is loans. 12th house lord is what repayment of loans is. If you have a lot of debt, work towards, healing your 12th house lord. 12th house lord is what it gives you the repayments of debt.
Right.
So I'm just saying, use this concept.
If you take opposite houses, then why not take the opposite nakshatra?
That's a nakshatra.
Absolutely.
Positive.
Now, let me add on to the discussion here. A little bit. What you shared is brilliant. What you shared about Barney being the womb, the water breaking, and the first breath is what is happening with Swati. And also, but we have to remember, Swati is actually, each nakshatra is opposite to two different nakshatras. So it's a very subtle point. So you can see Barney is the womb, then you have the Kritika, which is the cutting of the womb, like cutting of the umbilical cord. That is actually activating the Swati nakshatra, the first breath of the child after that. Now, one thing I've seen for sure is that you can actually see this relationship between one nakshatra and the corresponding two nakshatras playing out in the actual mythology of the nakshatra characters involved. So, for instance, you can see as simple as that. Remember, Swati is actually, like, let me put it this way. So, like, you have Swati nakshatra is directly opposite to Ashwini nakshatra. You can think Bharani nakshatra and Kritika nakshatra. But Swati is the opposite sign of that. If you have Hanuman with Swati nakshatra, you'll find that Hanuman is directly opposite to the Ashwin nakshatra. Now you can consider Ashwin Kumars as the Ram and Lakhan, the brothers, the twin brothers. They were, of course, they were not twins, but the Ram and Lakshman were the twins, the brothers with whom Hanuman had a big karma with, and that's a direct thing you can see. Now, what is interesting with the Barni aspect of Swati Nakshatra is that Hanuman is famous for having, Gonka, and that was his big mission in his time. So what is interesting with that is that when Hanuman felt dejected at the shores of the, Kanyakumari, right? We were talking about that. Shores of Rameshwaram, that kind of region, when Hanuman dejected. So it was as if that, he had to be reminded of who he was by Jambuan, who was the bear-headed being. So Jambuan was the bear. He carried a bear. So now, if you understand nakshatras, immediately you can connect Barney with, that's the straight. Bears hibernate. You are in a Barney, you will be hibernating for some time. For as that, you can literally see that. So you can see the actual link is also being shown in the mythological stories. If you have the eye for it, if you can actually see that, so it's a very important thing also. And but the key thing is that if you understand this link already existing, and just like how Dr. Pai was saying, like if you have loans, you can use the 12th lord to actually activate and repay your loans. You can begin to use this from a perspective of remedies as well. So in fact, I think it was Bharat who actually he mentioned that someone had a planet in Anuradha Nakshatra. And he actually said that he prescribed the remedy of using the opposite nakshatra from Anuradha for a child. So a mother was saying, my son is not studying. And then, Bharadram basically said, he had a Jupiter or some good planet in Anuradha Nakshatra. He looked at the opposite nakshatra from that, which was actually Kritika. And Bharadram's son to the kitchen and cut one piece of vegetable, and that's it. Just cut one thing and leave. And, it was a remedy. And so what happened in a week or so, the son actually, became much more activated. Son became much more intelligent, started very disciplined about his routine and stuff like that. So there's actually so it's not in my opinion it's not um, um, it's not a theoretical thing. It's an actual application thing. You know, you can see it in the mythology. You can create remedies out of it. So that's one more thing I'll definitely encourage. You know, all the viewers and everyone else be on the lookout for that. So that's one thing I wanted to add. And the biggest I would say is that biggest key, as Dr. Pai was mentioning, is when you understand the opposite nakshatra deities and stuff like that. That is the biggest key. You can see Dhanishta, for instance, the nakshatra where Mars is getting exalted. Opposite to that, you not only have Ashlesha, but you also have Magha as well. So there's a lot of deep secrets there, you know. And if you know Dhanishta, if Dhanishta is linked with Bhishma, then you know whatever Bhishma said was ultimate, karma will be filled through Ashlesha Nakshatra and the Magha Nakshatra themes as well. And
Oh,
he had a
you
big
pointed out
past
very
time
good.
depth
Because
to clear out and stuff like
when you said Bhishma, Dhanishta, Capricorn, correct?
that. Right,
Opposite is what? Opposite
right,
is Cancer. Correct?
exactly, yeah.
Cancer is what? Again, mother. The Satyavati was the entire, I should not say the root cause of
Yeah.
problem, but you know the story. Satyavati's issues, making her own child, Vichitravid, Chitrangad, Mahabharat started from there. The mother was a main.
No, what is the story? I don't know story about it. What was the story?
Oh, Bhishma, his father, correct? Bhishma's father was what? Shantanu. He wanted to, he crowned, like he said, Bhishma is the next prince. But and he was fell in love with another lady, Satyavati. And Satyavati's father said, "No, I cannot give my daughter to you because you have already said Bhishma is going to be the king, and her daughter's son will not be a king." So that's why Bhishma came in and said, "Oh, okay, I won't marry and I won't have any children, so that Satyavati's children can become the king." So in Bhishma's life, the Satyavati, her of course her stepmother, became an important figure. Now Bhishma is Dhanishta. Dhanishta, of course, end of Capricorn. Opposite side is end of Cancer, and Cancer sign is what? The natural fourth house. Natural fourth house is nothing but mother, and you know all mother, which was Dhanishta, has an important
Right,
karma with mother.
right,
Somehow it will play.
right,
Similarly, if you take Ram's chart, also it will be the same.
right.
Yeah. So, and it's good point which you mentioned about like on the other day it was today's what Magha or Ashlesha something, but few days
Right.
back it was Ardra and I was seeing lot of Rahu themes. Correct? I was sending you the pictures of Sorbhanu and all those which I was looking Vishnu Puran
Right.
to send you. It was an Ardra day, so a lot of themes of Rahu on that day, and I was just thinking Rahu somehow Ardra I feel connected with Rahu. Definitely it's a Rahu's nakshatra and maybe to some extent maybe an exalting point too of Rahu. What is the opposite of Rahu? Ardra, not Rahu. Ardra. Ardra's opposite comes under
Right.
Purvashada, correct?
Right.
Purvashada, because Ardra goes from
Yes.
60 to 40. Mula and Purvashada, basically. So, what is Purvashada? Strategies, self-destruction strategies. Very much energies are much more aligned to Rahu. And it was very nice. I was looking the slaying of Sorbhanu and Rahu. And if you put Ardra in the first house, what comes in the eighth house?
It's
Which
Capricorn.
Capricorn, which nakshatra? Shravana nakshatra, which the day
Danish.
of Vishnu.
Shravana, yeah.
And then first
Yeah.
house is Rahu, eighth house is Vishnu. What is eighth house? The killer of.
8,000 is death. Yeah, Marika, yeah.
So,
Similar
yeah.
idea.
Of course, I'm not talking about opposite, but at least I'm talking about the eighth house. But you can make all those mythological stories. You just
No, I think to be frank, again, I just opposite nakshatra point. Again, perhaps in a future session we can talk about the task kind of nakshatra, something like that. But definitely opposite nakshatra. And looking at, I think Dr. Pai, you once mentioned about how the degrees of a planet is very important. So I was hoping you could maybe conclude this video by talking about that. Like
what do you first before Dr.
how to tie in with
You
that.
have your own charts, correct? You see your points of ascendant. I'm sure everyone knows their charts here, and just see about it. Just take one planet, Lagna. So just take Lagna. Let's take one point and see the opposite nakshatra of that, and see how it is played. Need not tell what it has done in your life, but just think how that has played a role in your life. Just think about it and let me know what did it work or not.
Yeah. No, definitely. Just to add to that, look at all the planets. Look at what the opposite nakshatras are there. see how those planets played out, that opposite point played out in expressing those karmas. Even I would even say you can. I think Aditya, you are the one who was taking about. You can now look at the Gemini Karakas of those planets. So you have
Yeah,
your
but
Dara
I
Karaka,
didn't
your
speak
Atma
about
Karaka
that today
particular
at all.
time.
Keeping it very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's topic for
So
Atmakaraka,
yeah.
Amatmakaraka,
So
how to
so
take that.
yeah. So you can even add the Gemini layer, with Aditya was saying that you can add the Gemini layer to these and then look at the opposite points, and then you can get an even a proper understanding of the Gemini Karaka was also functioning. So it's almost like the opposite nakshatra is the actual functional thing, it's a
Yeah, I
functional
did for
relationship that is
Atmakaraka. I see the opposite point of that. Atmakaraka goes into what house and what nakshatra. But yeah, you can do all those and see how it is. But
there.
we will talk about that sometime, maybe another video. But yeah, exactly. I did for
Yeah.
Atmakaraka and it worked very beautifully. I don't know about other Karaka, but definitely for Atmakaraka, yes. Sorry, I
Right.
think you were saying something to Dr. Pai and I came in between. Dr. Pai, please.
Yeah, Dr. Pai, no, I think that's what we have so far. Any concluding thoughts you would have? Any more comments, remarks?
Yeah, I was just also exploring another concept which I want to add with the opposite nakshatra and opposite house. This is based on some teachings of what you see with most of the South Indian astrologers. Okay, South Indian priests, in fact, who are astrologers who believe in temple astrology. Now, here is a secret I want to share with what I have seen from these people. Is in the southern part of India, you see there are 108. It's called Divya Deshams. Divya Deshams are associated with all the Vishnu temples. There were 108 Divya Deshams, which starts, most prominent among them is Tirupati for Vishnu, and there are many other temples for Vishnu. So 108 Divya Deshams they are called. Similarly, there are 975 temples for Shiva. Now, how South Indian astrology has developed is because we look at the energy vortexes. These are energy portals, these temples. But what the South Indian astrologers have done is they've categorized based on your ascendant. They've categorized yourself, either you fall in the Vishnu or you fall in the Shiva category. And then you have to always go for a healing with the opposite, which means, let me explain this to you, what it means. And you will see the secret and you will go and do more research on this. In this theory, Mercury, Jupiter, Moon, and Mars are given to Vishnu. And Saturn, Venus, and Ketu are given to Shiva. Sun is neutral, which means you can either fall in the Vishnu's category or you can fall in what Shiva's category. Now, what I mean is, if you really understand what I'm trying to say, look at all the Saturn's Rashis, which is Capricorn and Aquarius. For Capricorn and Aquarius, Venus is Yogatara, because Venus Rashis are Yogatara because it falls in the fifth or the fourth and fourth and
The Yoga
fourth
Karaka.
and
Raja
ninth.
Yoga.
Yeah, it's Yogatara, so it's a very important. So they are friendly, and for all Venus Rashis, Saturn houses are Yogataras.
Yeah.
So that's why Saturn
Yoga
and
Karakas,
Venus are given to Shiva. Now you have to understand this concept. Very, very clear concept I want to give you now. I've never spoken about this. I spoke about this in my class today that I was teaching on Shukra. So if you have a problem and you fall with your ascendant in either you are in Saturn or Venus Rashis, then you always find healing with Vishnu's temples, not Shiva's temples. Okay. Now let me give you an example. For Venus, there are two temples which are very important energy vortexes. Now, if your ascendant is in Capricorn, Aquarius, Taurus, or Libra, then for any problems related to Venus, you have to go to Vishnu's temple, and the most sacred temple for Vishnu, for Shukra, is Sri Rangam, is Ranganatha Swami. Sri Rangam is the largest functioning temple in the world. I'm talking of functional, largest functional. Non-functional temple is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It's the largest temple in the world, but it's not functioning because there's no pujas happening. Largest functioning is Sri Rangam. The overlord at Sri Rangam is Ranganatha Swami. Ranga means colors. Ranganatha, the lord of colors. Venus is a lord of colors. I've always said Bhrigu lineage is all about sons of light, and Shukra gives the color. He distinguishes. That's why we can enjoy life and all the things, is because we can see things colorfully. So Ranganatha Swami, if you have this, but if you do not have that, if you have problems in marital life, if you have problems with all Venus related doshas, Kalatra dosha, childlessness, and anything related to Shukra, then you have to visit another temple called as Kanjanur. Kanjanur is a temple for Agneshwarar. The presiding deity at Kanjanur is Agneshwarar. Why Agneshwarar? It's a Shivlinga in the form of Agni. Southeast corner of your house is called Agnistan. Who rules in Vastu Shastra? Who is the lord of Agnistan? Agneya, Grahapatya Agni, we call it. Is the fire which cooks your food, makes it nourishing. Southeast is Venus. So Agneshwarar is a Shivlinga that you need to worship. And Shukra stays there in Kanjanur in Tamil Nadu to give you all the healing related to Shukra doshas. So both of them are called as Shukra Sthalam, but the presiding deity is either Vishnu or Shiva, but the ruler who gives you the results is Shukra. Likewise, there are different temples that you see in India. These are energy vortexes to cure. One of my village priests told me, if you are going through Sade Sati or Ashtama Shani, okay, or Dhaya, which is 4th house from your natal moon, or 8th house from your natal moon, or going through Sade Sati, which is 12th, 1st and 2nd from your natal moon, that means you need to visit Tirupati Balaji, because it is a Shani Stala. It can cure you from Shani's problems. Likewise, you have many temples like these. For example, if you want to activate knowledge, Jupiter, and heal your Jupiter, go to Kanchi. Kanchi, the Lord there is Varadaraja Swami, Vishnu temple, but that will give you the ultimate cure for any issues. Childlessness, marriage is not happening, delayed marriages. Go to Kanchi, you will get the healing immediately. Because of the flora, the river there. See, all these temples you see, there is also two things you need to remember. One is people go there for the lake or the pond and go to the holy dip. That is very significant because the water has those purities and the minerals that are required for you. Secondly, there is always a very important tree associated with every temple. Remember that. some important tree is involved, which means the vegetation there will also be healing for you. So when you look at this, always use the opposite deity to heal yourself. So if you're from the category of Shiva, then you need healing from Vishnu. If you're in the category of Vishnu, then you need healing from Shiva. This is how astrology in the southern part of India has been developed. So we believe in visiting temples more than doing other remedies. People always say, okay, you have this problem, go to Guruvayur. Okay, or you have this problem, go to Mannarshala, or you go to Sri Kalahasti. Okay, or you go to Kuke Subramanya. So any specific problems, there are different temples. There's also a temple for people who are mentally handicapped or mental disabilities that they go through. It's called Gunashilam Prasanna Venkatachalam temple. There they say people who go there within 48 days, they are 100% cured of their any illnesses or mental problems that they have. The deity is the presiding deity is Vishnu. So we need to really delve into this aspect as well when we look at the opposite nakshatras, because also remember, we need to see what is that is going to heal, because Shiva took the poison, but Vishnu is the maintainer. He maintains things. Anyway, I think we can wrap up today's session unless Sandeep, Nav, or Aditya, do you have any questions or anything related to what I was trying to explain?
Yeah, so Dr. Pai, the temple thing, I was just curious. So could you make it easy just for the viewers again, the ascendants and stuff like that? Like what kind of temples again?
Yeah, see, when you have Saturn, Venus, Ketu I can say, because you have Ketu is a very tricky thing. You know why? Ketu and Mars both share Scorpio.
Correct.
So that has both, you have to visit both Vishnu as well as Shiva temple.
Right.
Same with the
Right.
Aquarius. Aquarius, Rahu is given to Vishnu, but Saturn is given to Shiva. So these are the only two Rashis where you have to actually do remedies of both.
Right.
But otherwise, if you really see, if you are a Mars Rashi, your ascendant is rising in Mars, then you know that Venus at the other end is given to Shiva.
Shiva, right.
So you're born in Vishnu's Rashi. As I said, Mars is given to Vishnu. So if you want any cure, then go to Shiva.
Right.
Shiva's temples will more heal you. They will give you the cure. But we have to know which temple to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
There are, we know of the common temples which are mostly Shiva temples. Which are the Shiva temples? Do you know? The traditional ones which people go to? Suryanar Koil. That's for Surya.
Yeah.
Okay. Tingalur. Okay. From moon. So there are various, and the deities you have to know. See, one more thing I have to say, if you have to get a cure which you are not getting a cure for, go to Vaitishwaran Koil. Vaitishwaran Koil, the presiding deity is Vaidyanath. Shiva is Vaidyanath. Vaidyanath means, Vaidya means healer.
Yeah.
But the planetary deity in Vaitishwaran Koil is Mars. Mars rules first house for body and 8th house of chronic ailments. So Vaidyanath can cure chronic ailments and bodily ailments.
Right.
You understand? Because I said Mars belongs to
Vishnu. Yeah.
Mars has been given to Vishnu. Go to Shiva's temple. So this is Shiva's temple. Shiva is the Vaidyanath. He is celebrated and is worshipped in Vaiteshwaran Koyal.
Yes. Yeah.
Now this knowledge is nobody has shared. Everybody knows about this in the southern part of India, but nobody will talk to you about this because it is a paramparic knowledge. But this knowledge has to come out. So many people will benefit from this. Did you understand what I'm trying to explain to you, Sandeep and Aditya and Nav?
Yeah. Yeah.
These
You're
are
explaining how.
centers.
Yeah.
So first is
Definitely.
you have to decide what lagna. Then you have to decide what lagna node is. Then you have to say what deity is. And then you have to go for its opposite remedy. So if
True.
So if let's say you are basically say Gemini. Lagna.
See, if you really think about it, let us take example of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. So when you look at it, for Aries, your 10th house lord becomes Capricorn, 11th house lord becomes Saturn. Saturn is not very favorable. And Venus becomes Maraka Dipati because 2nd house lord and 7th house lord.
Right.
You see that? Okay, let's take Libra. Libra, Jupiter, which belongs to Vishnu's, is the 3rd house and 6th house lord. It's not very favorable. So that are the weaker points. So if you are born in a Shiva's realm, go to Vishnu to help you to cure that. If you're born in Vishnu's realm, go to Shiva to heal that. So these are energy vortexes, these are energy portals that you need to. This is exactly the concept of opposite. That's why you always, there has always been battle about Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Shaivites and Vaishnavites are always been at, loggerheads. But they don't understand they are the cure for each other.
Right.
They can heal each other. Otherwise, do you think all the Cholas, the Chaityas or whatever the rulers were, the Pandyas, all of them were great kings. They didn't improve their wealth, but they built a lot of temples, specific temples at specific places. These are energy vortexes. Let's not forget. So if you do not tap into these, then we are losing out on a great healing power with the opposite Rashi and the opposite concept that we are talking about today.
No, it's very interesting, Dr. Pai. I think the opposite. Yeah, no, the opposite nakshatra is very the opposite. Shiva, I always thought that the complement kind of a thing is very important, and but as being from South India, so you can understand how the Vaishnava Shaivites are always at war with each other, that kind of thing. I mean, even
they're at war with each other, trying to prove how greater their sect is. Unfortunately,
exactly right.
There have been temples for both of them because we need both. We need a Vishnu to maintain. We need Shiva to destroy what is not required for us, what is no longer essential.
Definitely.
Sun is the only planet which can take both sides. It can either be a Shiva or it can be a Vishnu based on how the strength and where it is placed. So that's why you see many texts, sometimes for Sun we say either worship Surya Narayan, sometimes you say worship Shiva for healing the properties. Largely you see Shiva being associated with the sun. So sun can actually be on either side. Is one thing. Mercury is very strongly Vishnu. Okay, Saturn is very strongly Shiva. Rest all you will know. Rahu, because Rahu was liberated by Vishnu, Mohini Avatar. Liberated as in it was given immortality, right? He became immortal and he was given a status of a Graha by Vishnu himself. Okay, I think it's a great discussion. Anything Sandeep, Nav or Aditya you wanted to add to this discussion? or else we can wrap up. I think
Yeah, we
we
said
have a
Yeah, the
next
only
session
thing,
also. I want to say Sandeep is going to discuss about the 10th nakshatra maybe in another video.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's another
yeah,
big, beautiful concept, Sandeep. I know this has been a
right,
little bit
yeah.
lengthy because of me intervening. It's best that
Something
you
new
don't
points come
No,
up.
no,
these
no,
discussions that
no,
will your interviews
yeah,
much
no,
more
but I
smoother
think
and
you
give you
you
some time.
shared some. No, but you shared some golden knowledge, Dr. Pai, to be frank. You shared it kind of thing. The logic of Vaishnavism, that's no one has ever talked about that before. So I think it's very good that you share that, for the benefit of the audience and viewers and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for that, to be frank, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now
Okay.
any questions for us or anything, or what do? We are wrap up today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandeep ji and Aditya ji.
Thanks,
Sure, yeah.
thanks. Now,
Yeah.
Share your
Yeah.
research with us today. Yeah, thank
Sure.
you. It was very insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.